on, baby. Now there's nothing to know. When he's wearing those pants, his cheeks are on for show. Come on, baby. It's the ultimate class. He's got them juicy cakes seasoned with sassafras, baby.
He's a good boy.
Oh, I forgot the video changes the framing. Oh my God.
Yeah. Good Wesley. He's a good boy.
Well, here we are again.
There we are.
This is the post Christmas episode of Special Features. The the Postmates, not Postmates, but this was filmed on the same day as we filmed the last podcast.
Yeah.
Right before Christmas.
Yep.
Just so viewers are aware, we've changed positions. Now we're in a more scenic part of the living room.
We're in the lovely living room with
and Wesley has been invited back in the house.
Yeah, you can hear him snorting and puffing.
Yeah, he flipped out like a lunatic.
Yeah, he's a crazy
like
dog.
As if I had deprived him of human contact for a month. And yet it has been mere moments.
He's a good boy though.
Yes.
Hopefully he won't cause chaos.
Except for every time the camera goes bumping around, it's because he's galloping through the house. Going to attack my mom and stuff.
Yes.
Anyway, but welcome back to Special Features. I am Maximilian Greatshell. This is my father, Walter Greatshell. We're your hosts.
Yes.
For the Special
Greetings.
Features podcast. In this podcast, we discuss everything from, Jesus. Our specialty is movies and pop culture, but we discuss everything from, current affairs to our own lives.
That's right, every aspect of life.
Yeah, so settle in for the philosophical, solipsistic jackasses podcast.
That's right.
That was actually, it's funny, because somebody said to me today that I used a word they hadn't heard before.
Yeah.
And they were like, what does that mean? And I was like, oh, it means this. And I was just like, I feel like because, I was raised by you and you're very like right-brained and English forward and you're like a writer and stuff.
I'm very verbose.
My vocabulary is a lot more complex than the average. And this is not me bragging at all. I'm not trying to brag at all. I have other weaknesses. I'm not great at formal math and stuff, but regardless, I have a pretty good vocabulary but I don't feel that way. Right. So when I'm talking to other people and I say something that somebody doesn't understand, I'm like, it kind of weirds me out.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't feel like I'm talking. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, here's the thing. It kind of reminds me of the thing in Idiocracy where everybody says that the main character of Idiocracy sounds gay.
Right.
But I don't feel, it doesn't feel like that for me. It's like, I don't feel like everybody's an idiot around me. What I feel like is I feel like I talk the way I talk. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes there's people that don't understand a word or two I say. And I'm like, it's bizarre for me. Because it's like, I thought everybody knew that word. You know what I mean?
Right. No, absolutely. I mean, when I was a kid, I remember I was good at drawing. And I just assumed it was something that was easy for everybody.
Yeah.
And I never quite believed that there was anything special about me being able to do that. And so I didn't really pursue it or anything like that. And it wasn't until later that I realized that I had this unusual ability to draw,
Yeah.
And I think often that it's a shame because you want to make sure that people know, because it's not like I had a ton of gifts. You know what I mean? I wasn't like, I was not an athlete, I feel like I was bad at a lot.
Yeah.
And the fact that I was good at this thing, that should have been something that gave me some sense of what I was going to be in life and what I could do that was special.
Yeah.
But it didn't, because I thought, oh, this thing I'm good at is just normal.
Yeah.
This thing I'm good at, it's meaningless. Everybody can do this. But the stuff I was bad at, I was acutely conscious of. The fact that I wasn't good at sports or I wasn't good at math.
Yeah.
Or whatever, So I actually felt like I was, not even as good as most people.
Yeah.
Because.
But everybody has their own strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, of course.
Because the person who I was talking to recently who didn't understand one of the words I said, they are much better at math than I am, for example.
Right.
So like, everybody has the things that they're good at and the things that they're not as good at.
Right.
And
some things
feeling
get-
superior because you're good at one particular thing or feeling inferior because you're bad at something else is just pointless.
It is pointless, but the trouble is that some things get you more rewards in society. Like I know that my experience in school was that I was very good at a couple of things. I was very good at art and I was very good at English. Okay, but I was not that great. In fact, I was pretty bad at most other things.
Yeah.
And so my average was very low because the things I was good at, got averaged in with the things I was bad at. So that the kids who were good at a lot of things, the kids who had the 4.0, those kids got a lot of kudos, even though the things they were good at, maybe they weren't as good at as I
Other
was.
things, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean...
No, I know what you mean. Society puts value on specific things.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. But, I mean, obviously you can't hold yourself to societal standards either.
No, you can't.
I mean, you just have to be good at what you're good at. And you know what I mean?
Right, but society will hold you to those standards. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
but
sometimes it's painful.
But that's the frustration with living,
Yeah,
with being a part of our society.
yeah,
And then we go back into what we were talking about in the last episode where it's like, oh, everything's kind of messed up. It's like, yeah, it is. Just, you just got to live the way you can live.
yeah, of course. Absolutely.
And getting frustrated because you're good at things that don't reap rewards in society the way that other things do
Yeah.
is just a waste of time.
Yeah,
Because
of
society's
course.
always going to reward, like, not always, but society a lot of times rewards things that are like, that don't make any sense.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, in a lot of ways, society rewards nepotism.
Yeah, it does.
So, like, I wouldn't, I'm just saying, like, it doesn't,
Those
it's neither
things-
here nor there.
Right, absolutely.
That being said, the one thing that does bother me with, like, vocabulary is if I say a word like, I don't know, this is not a good example, but, like, as an example, like, if somebody says, like, refuse instead of trash, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody is like, what does refuse mean? And you're like, oh, it means trash. If a person says something like, then just use trash. Then just say trash then. It's
Right.
like, dude, don't dumb me down
Right.
because I'm confusing you.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not, what is it? There's that thing from the Bo Burnham. Do you remember what is that song he sings with the puppet in the special that he did?
Yeah.
About
I
like
don't remember.
how messed up society is, basically. But one of the things the puppet says is don't burden me with the task of educating you because it's extremely exhausting. It's like, it's not my job to teach other people how to talk.
Right.
So it's like, if you don't understand a word and you ask, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I will tell you what that word means, but don't say I shouldn't use that word because you don't understand it. That's
Right.
not fair.
No, absolutely.
Like, let me do what I want to do. It's
Yeah.
like in the same way that, like, I don't know. I can't think of a good example of something else similar to that like, I just mean, like, I try to stay out of people's way and let them do what they want to do.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, even when it's like stuff that I really find uninteresting.
Right.
Like if somebody's like talking a lot about like organized sports or something like I'm not super into, I'm not going to be like, don't talk about that around me. Like, I'm not
Right.
a dick.
No, of course. But you're right. I mean, we do have there's a strong anti-intellectualism, in our society, in most societies probably.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate.
Wesley is acting like such a puppy right now.
He is.
He's like, if I'm not actively petting him, he's like whining at me, like as if I'm denying him the great
Right.
pleasure of physical contact.
Yes.
As if I don't pet you 1 billion times every day, you stinky boy.
It is nice that he's just laying there, though.
Yeah, although he's all like
galloping around.
mushed up
Yeah.
and he's smearing me with his saliva and fur. So I can be I'm already stinky from work though, so it's probably okay. Now I smell like halibut and dog.
There you go.
At work, one of the things we make is halibut. That's
Yeah.
one of our main fish dish.
Yeah.
And like, if you make even one of those, it makes everybody in the kitchen stink like halibut for like ever.
Yeah. No, I believe it. How do you prepare the halibut?
We have like a rice, which is like rice and peas and like a coconut milk that's like mixed with fish sauce that we mix into it as the sauce essentially. So it's like a coconut fish sauce rice. And then on top of that is a halibut that's crusted in like an espresso seasoning mix.
Okay.
That gets like fried and then baked.
Oh, that
and then
sounds
we
good.
put that on top, and then there's like a carrot, cabbage coleslaw, and like some green onions on top.
Sounds
Oh,
great.
and some hazelnuts that have been candied in fish sauce and sugar.
Wow, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's a pretty good dish. A lot of people seem to like it. I think it's personally, I think it could be a little more interesting. But you're talking to somebody here who like really likes crazy all over the place bold flavors. Most people, I think, prefer their food to be like pretty straightforward. So I think if you're trying to serve like especially like an upper income community, and this is not an insult to people who make money, but I just mean like if you're trying to serve like upper crust white people, a lot of them have pretty basic taste.
Yeah.
So serving them something that's like simple but fulfilling is going to be something they're into.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what
Like you don't want to go like adding chili oil and stuff to like a dish like that, because that's something I would do.
Yeah.
But it's like I think, we're talking about people who they're not super into things that are like too alarming.
Well, I mean, it's
Or
funny
too
'cause-
spicy or too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what you're talking about is interesting because, like, I remember years ago, I went to this expensive restaurant, and I had halibut, and it was basically they brought me this brick of halibut, and it was beautiful. It was like Snow White, this very white fish,
Yeah.
and
It's a very dense, snowy white fish.
yeah. So they brought me this brick of halibut, which seemed like it had been steamed or something because there was no browning on it at all.
Yeah.
But there was also no seasoning on it, and I didn't really care for it. And there was no salt and pepper on.
Sorry, he just head-butted me in the stomach.
Crazy dog. Anyway,
I'm
there
gonna
was.
stop petting him because
He's getting too crazy.
Yeah, he's being no. Go sit down. Go sit down. You're being rude. Just sit down. Relax.
He's like a rabid Wookiee.
Anyway, if we ignore him for a minute, he'll calm down.
Yeah. Anyway, so this halibut that I was served was not seasoned at all. It was very, very bland, and there was no salt and pepper on the table.
Yeah.
And so I really felt like annoyed because this was an expensive dish. I mean,
Yeah.
it was not cheap.
Well, halibut is an expensive fish.
Yeah, exactly. And I always thought, man, this is just wrong to serve it like this.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I agree. Something like that, a fish that's basically a whitefish, should always be fairly well seasoned.
Yeah.
But here's the problem with whitefish is like there's only so much you can season it, because you can't really like brine it, or at least like most people don't, as far as I know. So basically any seasoning you put on a whitefish has to be seasoning that's on the outside. So it's going to be hard for it to really be all like an explosively flavorful thing.
Right.
Like people love cod because cod is simple. It's very mild and not super fishy. It's very flaky. But for the most part, cod is pretty flavorless.
It is, but if you have cod like fish and chips, okay, you've got the crunchy coating, and then you're dipping it in some kind of tartar sauce, which is delicious.
No, I know, but that's what I'm saying. That's how you get it
To taste like
delicious.
something. Right. But I'm just saying this halibut that they gave me, now if that had come with some kind of delightful butter sauce,
Yeah.
and a good amount of butter sauce,
Yeah.
I would have loved that.
Well, that's what we talk about. It has to be served the way that like seafood bakes are in like
Yeah.
Italian restaurants, like breadcrumbs and butter and like, scallops and shrimp and like,
Right.
whitefish, that's the way to
Exactly.
do it.
Yeah.
But I still think our halibut that we serve at Press is pretty good.
What you described sounds great. I
yeah.
mean, there's
it's
obviously,
still simple, but
Yeah.
I mean, we're still seasoning the halibut,
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. Restaurants are complicated.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, they started serving a shrimp cake at the restaurant I work at after me and another cook already for a while talked about making a shrimp cake or shrimp toast.
Yeah.
And were kind of like shot down about it. And then like
Now they're doing it.
now they're doing a shrimp cake.
Oh, but that's how progress happens, right?
Maybe.
I mean, people.
I just think a lot of times in the restaurant industry, like people will just, they'll sometimes they'll ignore the ideas of like people low on the totem pole, and then like later they'll present those ideas as if like, you know, it's like, oh, this is the idea we came up with.
Yeah. Well, I think that's actually the most common thing in the world.
Yeah.
You know, that's how, like I said, that's how progress happens.
Yeah, and it doesn't, for the record, it doesn't bother me at all. Yeah. I'm just happy that they're doing something with the shrimp.
Yeah.
I just think it's interesting how like we have all these little groups, like these little micro societies in all these different positions we live our lives in. You know, like at work we have a little micro society. At home we have a little micro society. It's all just like, just all these little machinations of all these different groups of people. You know? And like another good example is like the fact that I, you know, did a bunch of like preparation of dessert stuff today, even though technically that's like another guy most of the time does that. But it happened, you know, I ended up doing it because of like time constraints or something.
Right.
It's just interesting how like how many different positions you end up playing at the end of the day.
Sure. I mean, I actually think it's pretty cool that you get to do this stuff. You know, I mean, obviously we are people who really appreciate food.
Yeah.
You know, so for you to be able to do this, I think sounds, you know, pretty great actually.
Process 10 pounds of apples.
Wow, that's a lot of apples.
Yeah, I had to skin.
I was going to say, did you have to peel them?
I had to skin and dice 5 pounds of apples, and 5 of them, 5 pounds, I just had to cheek and cook down.
Wow.
And blend to make apple butter. It was just, it was a lot of work. Weirdly, 5 pounds of apples, once they were peeled and sliced and diced and cooked, all fit into 1 quart container.
Yeah, well, you know, when your mother and I moved to Oregon, we were younger than you are now, and we basically found that we couldn't cash this cashier's check that we brought with us. There was like a 10-day wait for the bank to clear it, so we had no money. And we ended up getting this. We were able to move into this little A-frame cabin in the middle of nowhere, and but we had to get that. We had to get the owners to trust that we were going to pay the rent. We had to show them the check that we had and everything. And
and of course now if you to prove rent you have to have like a government background check and like 15 pay stubs. And
exactly. But we had something like $11 in cash on us. So we bought all the food we could buy for $11, which was mostly oatmeal and macaroni and cheese, like the instant macaroni and cheese.
Yeah.
But we were fortunate because the landlords that we had, they knew we were kind of hard up. And so they brought a big bag of very wormy apples for us. And so we basically spent an afternoon basically cutting the edible parts of these wormy apples off and then cooking it and making applesauce.
Yeah.
So we had, like you said, we started with a big bag of apples and we ended up with just like a quart of applesauce at the end of it.
Yeah.
But that applesauce was like amazing, you know, we were so hungry.
It's crazy what you can like live off of if you're in desperate straits.
Absolutely.
Because like technically for a long time you can live off of just potatoes.
Yeah.
But like if you have like, I remember there's this Russian guy online named Boris, who does like a bunch of cooking videos, and he has a couple of his videos are like these like survive on this minimal amount of money type videos. And it's always like, with this much money you get yourself some carrots, some apples, some potatoes, some cheese if you can afford it, and some pasta, and then you live on that for a month essentially.
Yeah.
And it's like carrots may seem silly, but they will save you. You know, like and it's just like, it's like you really don't need much.
Well, I mean, with us, we basically had everything portioned out, where we got like a half a cup of oatmeal every morning, you know, and then like a little half a cup of macaroni and cheese at dinner time.
Yeah.
And then this like a little tiny portion of like applesauce, you know, with these meals.
But that's how you do it.
Yeah.
And that's in those videos that he made. That's how he did it. It's like you make like a little thing.
Yep.
One of his things, which I wholeheartedly approve of as a survival food, is oatmeal.
Yeah. Well, that's what I said. We had oatmeal. That was.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like oatmeal is such an underrated survival food.
Yeah.
And in my personal opinion, I think if you have like a simple source of vitamins essentially, and you have oatmeal and rice and beans, you can live on that like forever.
Yeah.
Because like oatmeal is like fiber and complex carbohydrates in the morning, right?
Yep.
So if you have that, plus, and rice and beans is a complete protein. So if you can just eat like, you know, if you can get your hands on some vegetables or something with vitamins, you have like everything you need to survive forever.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Although I'll tell you, after a while, you really get famished.
Oh yeah. But I'm not talking about like eating for pleasure.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. Yeah. If you're trying to like just like live your life and enjoy your life, obviously you're going to need a diversity of foods to do that if you're somebody that likes food. But I'm just talking about if you're desperate.
Yeah.
If you're desperate and you need to survive and you need to not be spending money on food, the best thing you can do for yourself is like try to get yourself the cheapest, biggest bag of beans and rice that you can.
Sure.
And the cheapest, biggest bag of oatmeal that you can.
Yep.
And you can live on that for a good long time and not pay any more money for food outside of that.
Yeah.
Like, especially if it's like, if you live in a climate where there's like readily accessible, easy vegetables. Because like, for example, when I lived in Indiana, there was a farm in the summer there that like basically gave away free vegetables because they always had a surplus. So if you can find something like that, like a community garden or somewhere where you can get free vegetables, you can basically just live on that and rice and beans and oatmeal.
Yeah.
You know, and if you really want to get crazy about it, learn to can.
Yeah.
And, can some of those vegetables, then you have a source of them in the winter if you live in a place with winter.
Right.
But if
No,
you live
you're
in like
right.
Florida or California, you're probably good.
Yeah. Well, that's why I was always a fan of.
Well, the parts of California that are summery all year long.
Right. Well, but I mean, I've always been a fan of Yul Gibbons, who wrote the books on foraging, and in his, one of his books is called "Stalking the Wild Asparagus."
Yeah.
And there's a chapter where he's basically takes a bet by a friend of his who lives in, I forget where he lives, in like, I don't know, Pennsylvania or something like that. But his friend tells him, you wouldn't be able to do all this foraging that you do in the wintertime here because there's nothing to forage, you know. And he says, I'll take that bet. And so the whole chapter is about him like trying to live off the land
in the winter,
in February or something like that. And he's able to do it because he knows, what the edible things are.
See, that's impressive.
Yeah.
But that just goes to show, like, if you're somebody who really struggles financially, or if you're somebody who wants to live very cheaply or live off the land more, learning as much as you possibly can about foraging is a very useful skill.
Yeah.
And being able to forage for vitamins, but then also get your like main foodstuffs from like things like beans and rice and oatmeal that you can buy in bulk.
Yep.
You'll be good.
Yeah.
You'll be like super good. And then occasionally you'll still get treats because you can still like forage for weird things, or if it's your thing, you can like hunt and maybe occasionally have like an animal to eat.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot you can get very easily and cheaply.
Yep.
Just from being careful about the way that you eat.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a skill to all these things, and obviously, if you live in situations where there's a lot of starvation, people figure those things out pretty fast.
Yeah.
What you can eat and what you can't eat.
No, absolutely. And I mean that's why so many cultures of poverty, like a lot of their main foods are foods that are very nutritious in like a very simple way.
Yeah.
Like rice and beans, or like I was just in Hawaii, like poi. Like poi is a super nutrient dense food.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I ate that poi you gave me.
Did you?
Yeah.
How was it?
It was good. I made it into because when I ate it, it was it was quite bland and kind of tart.
As poi is like to be.
As poi is, yeah. Now I've had poi before, but it'd been a long time since I'd had it.
It's bland and slightly tart.
Yeah. What it reminded me of a little bit was yogurt. And so I thought I could probably make a salad dressing out of this. So I did. I put a little blue cheese in it, and I made like a blue cheese dressing out of it, and it was very tasty.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of, here a big part of the reason I like oatmeal, aside from it being nutrient dense, and because this is just going off of like nutritious foods, is that it has really good fiber. And something I recently learned, which I had never known before, is that if you start your day with like a big dose of fiber, like fibrous vegetables or oatmeal or something like, or chia seeds, which are one of the most fiber dense foods you can possibly eat, it basically coats your like the exit to your stomach, like your pyloric sphincter, and all the food that passes through that, at least for like a good while after that, gets coated in like fiber, essentially, like fiber goo. and it makes it so your body can digest the food better, essentially.
Right.
And in my case, like that's super helpful because if you have like problems with blood sugar or diabetes and stuff,
Right.
it will keep your blood sugar down way longer throughout the course of the day.
Oh, that's
and
good.
keep your blood sugar stable all the time. So not just for diabetics, like, but for people who have diseases that affect their blood sugar, or even just people who are older and trying to like manage their blood sugar.
Yep.
Starting your day with fiber is really good way to keep a stable blood sugar all the
believe it.
time.
Yeah.
So that's just another, aside from it being a nutritious food, it's really good in that way too.
Yeah.
And rice and beans is the same thing, high fiber.
Right.
You know, I feel like a lot of the problems in our society could be solved by fiber.
Yeah. Well, I know that there's a cult of fiber. Like you hear about it a lot. There's people who are real believers in the whole fiber thing.
Look at my bare knee.
Yes.
Yes, I'm wearing pants, I promise. They're just short. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the thing is, a lot of people don't eat the amount of fiber that the human body is accustomed to consuming on a daily basis. Like, we're designed to eat a certain amount of fiber every day, and most people don't come anywhere near the amount we're supposed to eat.
Right.
So as a result, a lot of people have a lot of gastric issues and blood sugar issues, and you know, our society is designed around like easy to eat foods that like are not very good for you.
Right.
So it's like nobody's getting the fiber they need. Everybody's like getting colon cancer and farting and pooping their pants and they don't know what's going on. It's like just try to eat the recommended amount of fiber. I'm not even saying you don't have to bulk fiber. Mm-hmm. You don't have to like buy a box of Fiber One cereal and eat the whole thing in one sitting like that colon blow cereal from SNL.
Right.
Just eat like the normal amount of fiber and you'll do a lot better.
Yeah.
That, and also like, you know, try to eat vitamins. Try to eat vitamins and fiber. Just try. You don't have to change your whole diet. Just just eat a little bit less crap and a little bit more stuff you're supposed to eat.
Yeah.
And you'll be a little better.
Yeah. No.
Don't go crazy. You know, it's like that thing from when Jim Carrey did that parody of the juicer infomercial guy in Living Color, and it was called like the Juice Weasel. And he says like, this is the amount of fruits and vegetables you have to eat as a human a day, and it's like this giant ridiculous pile.
Right.
And he's like, now you could eat all that, but you'd probably get tired of wiping your butt. You know, and it's like, yeah, because if you can't, don't believe what people say about like raw diets and stuff. Don't eat like tons of fibrous vegetables. You just, because that'll screw you up too.
Right.
And if you're somebody who's not used to eating fiber, you have to start slow, because you'll put yourself in a rough spot if you go from eating no fiber to suddenly eating tons of fiber.
Yeah.
Because it'll kind of hurt your stomach. You have to, like everything, you have to build up a tolerance for that.
Yeah.
Same thing with spicy food.
Yeah.
That's why you end up with like, you know, cultures like Thai culture where they can eat like just a handful of raw chili peppers and be fine.
Right.
And then you go somewhere like, I don't know, where do they not eat spicy food? Denmark?
Probably, yeah. That's a good example.
Like, you know, and even something mildly spicy will be upsetting.
Yeah, Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. They do like cheese curds though.
They do.
And those are spicy if you're lactose intolerant.
I suppose that's true.
Spicy milk.
Yes.
That's a joke that's been around for a while.
Is it?
Yeah, well, joking about how lactose intolerant people find milk spicy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
See, he's calmed down a bit. We
Yeah.
just can't say his name or anything about dog stuff.
Yeah.
I accidentally rubbed my face with the hand that I was petting him with.
Oh, no.
And he kind of needs a bath, so I was like just putting dog smell directly on my face.
Hey, you know, you live in a dog-filled house.
A gingerbread smells good, Mom.
Good. I hope so. Should be done soon.
Nice.
Are you baking a gingerbread man?
I'm baking gingerbread. Yes, my darling.
But
Is it
not
going
a
to come?
man.
Not a man, no.
It's not going to
Before
come to
time,
life.
I'm gonna run away. Don't worry.
That's good, because that's a very alarming story, the gingerbread man.
It is, yeah. Run as fast as you can.
You cannot catch me. I'm the gingerbread man.
That's right. It's like the Zulu fetish, you know.
The Zuni fetish doll from Trilogy of Terror.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Gingerbread man gets a knife.
Oh man, I'm trying to think. Recently, if I've you know what? Because I would like to talk a little bit more about movies.
Okay.
And I told you I was trying to look at like historical fiction, because that's something that Gwen is into.
Okay.
And I rewatched, and she watched for the first time, Dangerous Liaisons
Oh, yeah, fun movie.
with Glenn Close, John Malkovich, Uma Thurman.
Yep.
I think it's Uma Thurman.
Yeah, it is.
And and Keanu Reeves, weirdly enough.
Oh, you're right. I forgot that he's in that.
I forgot he was in it too until I
Yeah.
watched it, and I was like, Keanu Reeves is in this?
Yeah, he totally is. You're right. I remember.
It makes sense though, because it's sort of around the time when he was becoming popular.
Yeah, well, right around the time that he was doing Bill and Ted,
Yeah.
I think.
It was part of his early career, but he was already successful enough to get a major speaking role.
Yeah.
He's good in that movie because he was cast in a part in that movie that's perfect for who he is.
Yeah.
Which is like a naive music teacher.
Yes, this kind of callow young guy.
Yeah, perfect.
Yep.
Perfect for Keanu.
Yeah.
But aside from Keanu Reeves, don't let that put you off if you think Keanu's not a... I mean, I think most people on the internet are kind of in love with Keanu Reeves
Yeah, I
because
think
he's like
so,
a nice
too.
person.
Yes.
And he's been seen like doing a lot of like good things and stuff and being a good person.
Well, and people are crazy about that whole John Wick thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
I'm not
that's
a huge
another
fan,
thing. He's
but-
also been in some major, very popular franchises.
Yeah.
Not just John Wick, but like The Matrix.
Oh,
like,
sure.
He's been a big part of some major things.
Yeah.
Anyway, regardless of Keanu, it's a really good movie.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if a ton of people love John Malkovich. I do personally.
Oh, yeah, me too.
I also really like Glenn Close. I feel like she's been in. I mean, where has she been?
You know, it's funny because a couple of podcasts ago we were talking about Hook. She plays one of the pirates in Hook.
Okay, but like, where has she been recently? Because I think the last thing I heard was she was in that movie, like, what was it called? Albert Nobbs, where she played like a man.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
has she been in anything recently?
Not that I'm aware of, no. But
Well,
she's been in many movies.
Yeah, I like Glenn Close a lot.
She was in The Big Chill.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
She was. I mean, I would put her in the same standing as like Meryl Streep at this point because she's like been around a long time. She's been in a lot of really successful stuff. She is a good actress.
Yep.
She's kind of like more of like a classical actress. She's up there.
Yeah, I've always been a fan of hers. And in that
Actually,
movie
I'm surprised that her
especially-
and Meryl Streep haven't been in a movie together.
You're right. Yeah.
Seems like kind of a match made in heaven.
I agree. But they might have been as far as, I mean, I don't know.
They should be in a movie about like two older women trying to destroy each other.
Yeah.
That would be
right.
like perfect for them
That
because
would
they've
be
both played
perfect.
villainous, angry women.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. They could be great if they were like at war. I mean, that's what's so great
The
about
Devil Wears Prada 2.
Yeah.
The
yeah.
Other Devil.
We just saw a trailer for The Devil Wears Prada 2.
There's
there is
another
a
one
Yeah,
coming?
there's a sequel
Oh my
coming.
God.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff in the works right now that's like a callback. I mean, I know we've been in like a very like member berries type environment where like a lot of stuff just kind of gets called back to now.
Yep.
But it is interesting still how much of that is still in the works because we have the new Harry Potter TV series, which is due to be made soon or coming out soon. They're doing another version of Aragon as a TV show.
Yeah, I keep seeing ads for that.
Which I actually think is good because Aragon was a pretty good book and the movie they made out of it was complete trash. Like it was a totally ripped apart the source material and was just not worth it at all. Like everybody hated that movie. So them redoing that would probably be good.
Okay.
I know that they made a Golden Compass TV show that I watched and I thought was a little better than the movie they made originally.
Yeah, I heard good things about it.
Yeah, because instead of just being the one book, it was like the whole book series, the TV show. So
Okay.
they did the whole thing. So I finally got to see the whole story.
You're talking about the Golden Compass thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, I really appreciate the Golden Compass because it's kind of like the series is weirdly atheistic, which I enjoy. The whole series is kind of about killing God.
Okay.
But I kind of wish, and maybe it is in the books, maybe this is just because I haven't read the books and I don't know. I kind of wish there were elements of it that were a little more fleshed out as far as like to make things make sense scientifically more to some extent. Like I know the whole thing is sort of a fantasy, but it does bring science into it because the series talks about like, you know, like microscopic particles. The series talks about like quantum stuff. The series talks about like a lot of things But there are things in it then also on top of the scientific stuff that is more magical and doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Right.
Like in the series, there's a knife that is so sharp it can breach the divide between different dimensions, and you can travel through these pockets into other dimensions that you can cut open with this knife. But it's never really explained like how this knife can possibly exist. You know what I mean? It's just sort of like a society got advanced and they built and they made this knife, and like, you know what I mean? They don't really ever, it seems more like a magical object than something technological, since the series seems to be so focused on science.
But you know, I mean, you okay?
No.
Anyway, I'm not familiar with this story, but this what you're talking about with the knife, it appeals to me, not because of fantasy or science, needless to say, but because it has a certain like dream logic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you think about, cutting a doorway in reality, I can imagine that, this knife is so sharp,
But that's what I'm saying. The whole series sort of has a dream logic. It's magical reality is what the series is.
Right.
And I don't mind that. But what bothers me about it is that the series is also so heavily grounded in the idea that like science is the answer to everything. And then it sort of just like completely steps away from science into like magic and philosophy and fantasy.
Right.
That it's like, it's almost hard to see. And I mean, maybe that's the author's point though, that like, it's hard to see where science ends and where like things we don't understand begin.
Right.
But I don't know. I just kind of wish certain things in it were a little more explicable.
Yeah. Well, see, it's funny because I have mixed feelings about the whole thing because let me give you an example. We were just watching, your mother and I were just watching the new Dairy series.
Welcome to Dairy.
Yeah, it's based on the It storyline. And essentially it tells you the origin of the clown.
Yeah. I've heard that. I've heard that like by like the 4th episode they tell you all that.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily like it, because I feel like this clown is much more interesting and much scarier if it's just a complete anomaly.
Yeah.
Like there's no explanation.
Okay. But what you're talking about is something totally different, because it is a horror book, is a fantasy horror. So it's totally fantasy.
Right.
Which is to say anything that happens can be inexplicable.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
But see, that's not how the writers are treating it.
No, I'm aware of that, but that's because everybody wants everything fleshed out too much.
Yeah.
Everybody wants lore that like completely uncovers everything.
Right.
And that is very problematic when you're talking about like fantasy and horror and stuff. Especially with horror.
Right.
Because if you explain horror too much, it ceases to be horror.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the problem with this. I think it's, as a series, it's not bad. There's a lot of really good things about it.
Yeah.
And the clown continues to be a very scary presence. But the idea that you now know that the clown is connected to some kind of, ancient, mystery of the Native Americans and so forth. It's like...
Well, let's not forget about the turtle that carries the world on its back.
Yeah, well, sure.
All of Stephen King's extended Dark Tower universe lore.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing is, it's not necessary to know these things. And the reason you have to know them in this context of this Dairy story is that the only way you can defeat this entity is by kind of digging up these magical objects. And I feel like that is just a little too Da Vinci Code.
Yeah, that bothers
me
too also, because I like it better if the it entity can't be defeated.
Right.
I like it better if it's like, yeah, you can get it to go away temporarily, but it's never really gone.
Right.
Because that's more scary.
Right.
Also, it's more like realistic, I guess, in a way. Because like, no matter how much evil you get rid of in the world, you never really root out evil.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, I agree with you. But I just think it's tough too, because it's like, obviously there are people, because there's people that like Stephen King the way we do, where it's like, we like his best books, we like his earlier books, we like his books that are more like one-offs. And then there's people that like religiously follow Stephen King, who are like obsessed with him and all of his worlds and all of his like extended universe, like, you know, like the Dark Tower people.
Right.
It's like there's us and then there's the Dark Tower people. And the Dark Tower people, I think, want every little thing that's been ever written out in his books to be displayed as like a movie or a TV show.
Right.
And as a result of that, I think that's what they're trying to do with this It TV show, is like they're trying to like everything that wasn't included in the It movies,
What's up?
you know, they want to put into this TV show.
Yeah.
You know, so they're taking all the extra stuff that's in, you know, It, and probably also stuff that's from like his other work.
Oh, yeah.
And just mixing it in.
Yeah, they've got the mist in there. They've got, you know, there's like all kinds of things. You know, they've got The Shining in there.
Yeah.
You know, the character of Halloran
Yeah.
is in there and everything.
No, I remember Halloran
Yeah.
like sees the It clown or
Yeah,
something.
exactly.
Yeah. No, I know. It's
And I don't actually mind that. I'm not that's not my objection.
But also a lot of it is fan service, because it's just like service to the people that like get excited about that
Yeah,
stuff.
and I'm a fan, so like I say, it doesn't really bother me to have those particular elements. But I don't really care to have a lot of clunky, pseudo scientific, you know,
Trying to explain the inexplicable.
trying to explain the inexplicable,
Yeah.
exactly, and giving kind of formulaic solutions to
Yeah.
the problems of evil.
No,
you know?
and absolutely, and I agree with that. And that is in no way what I'm arguing for with something like the Golden Compass.
Right.
What I'm talking about with the Golden Compass is I'm trying to figure out whether the Golden Compass is more fantasy or more science fiction. And if it's more science fiction, I like it. Science fiction is better when the science in it makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's really what I'm trying to figure out. And if the Golden Compass, you know, if people who are fans of the Golden Compass might say to me like, that's not what it is. It's not science fiction. And because in a large part it's not. It's like philosophical, magical reality.
Yeah, I mean, I just the little I know about that story, I don't think it really falls under I wouldn't attach it to science fiction.
No, but they talk a lot about science in the
Science
story.
things,
And one of the
yeah.
main like protagonists, not the main character, but her father is like very focused on science. And there's even a part in the book where she goes to like, when she comes to our universe, because that's part of the Golden Compass thing, she comes to like our universe, and she goes to talk to like a particle physicist or something about like, you know, her compass or whatever,
Right.
and like the particle physicist has some kind of computer that can like interpret like dark energy particles, and suddenly it starts like freaking out around the Golden Compass or something.
Okay.
So like there's a scientific element
Right.
to all of this, but it's mixed in also with like a ton of like philosophical fantasy.
Right.
So it's like it's hard to say what should be explained and what shouldn't,
Right.
is what I'm saying. And as a result of that, there are elements that I feel like maybe should have been explained that weren't. That's
Yeah.
all I'm saying.
No, I get
And
it.
one of those elements that really bothered me was the subtle knife, which is a knife that can cut an opening between dimensions if you know how to use it.
Right.
And then like if it breaks, it can be like remade, but like it has to like human emotions play into it.
Right.
And then there's this whole thing about, anyway, I don't know. I do like it though, because the whole thing is about how like there's these like angels pretending to be God essentially, and their goal is like to kill these angels.
Okay. Well, it's funny because
Like, and the point of the story, I think, is that there is no real God. It's like there's these angels in this alternate reality trying to control people, but ultimately even they are not God.
right. It's just funny to me, all of this, because I feel like when I was a kid, Marvel Comics were a huge thing, you know? And then even like into the 2000s, you know, when you had Iron Man and all this stuff and Spider-Man, the Marvel world seemed relatively scientific.
Yeah.
But then they started kind of introducing some of their more fantasy characters like Thor and Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
And,
characters
you know,
whose powers aren't really based in science.
Exactly. They're more magical based. And so you would have kind of visitations by like angels and elves and
also,
stuff like that.
what's weird about that to me, extra so, is like when Thor was initially introduced, it was almost, his society was almost introduced as like a super technologically advanced society that happened to have truck with people like way in the distant past. And as a result, those people thought they were gods, but they're not really gods. They're just like these super advanced people. Which like I took things like when Odin takes Thor's armor away and suddenly he's basically like just a really tough human. I took that to mean like technology is augmenting all of them. You know what I mean?
See, I don't think I ever...
That's what I took it to mean.
Okay.
But then you're right. At some point, it just completely went suddenly like all the gods exist. Suddenly like there's like some kind of magical god killer sword. You know what I mean? Like then it got like really way out there.
Yeah, exactly. It went almost into these kind of pagan religious...
Which I'm fine
ideas.
with, because that's basically what comics are. They're like dogma.
Right. It's just that it's interesting because prior to the introduction of this side of things in the Marvel universe, it was all kind of based on science.
Yeah.
And I think that that's just a strange transition that's happened.
Well, also there's been massive jumps in the science.
Yeah.
Like, and as our own technology has improved, I would say also.
Yeah.
Because like you look at like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, right? The Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, the technology in those movies, and like the technological like aid in those movies is very limited, and it's largely limited to the people who have access to advanced technology are like people like, the guy that runs Oscorp.
Right.
You know what I mean? And what he has access to are like little hand bombs and like a glider and a suit and like a serum that makes him a super soldier. And it's like, but he's the only one that has that. You know what I mean? Like Spider-Man's not like running into these super powered technological villains every other second.
Right.
And like Doc Ock, yeah, he has access to technology, but it's because he's some kind of like renowned scientist.
Right.
Whereas you get into the new Marvel movies and it's like seems like every other guy has like something crazy.
Yeah.
And the Tom Holland Spider-Man has access to so much more advanced technology than the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man did.
Right.
Like so much. Especially because he's partnered with friggin' Tony Stark, and he has like, he can fix literally anything.
Yep.
Which is like, in that, what is it, No Way Home? The Spider-Man movie that has all three of the Spider-Man actors in it.
Yeah, right.
He basically, all of the villains from all of their movies come to his world, and he basically like fixes all of them with technology.
Right, but all those villains are based on technology. Even the Lizard is created by this formula and everything.
I know, but I'm just saying it's an interesting point. There is like, as not only have the movies become more magical, but they've also become almost the technology has become almost magical too.
Right.
Like it's become so advanced.
Yeah.
But I think that's because the technology in our society is becoming so advanced. More people are realizing that when technology becomes sufficiently advanced enough, it becomes almost magical.
Right. Which of course is the famous quote by what's his name?
Yeah, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
But that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because I think it takes for things to start happening for a lot of people to like really come to terms with what's happening.
Yeah. Ray Bradbury said that.
Yes. And I think the media is a good reflection of that.
Yeah.
Like the more you can see a good reflection of what's happening in society in how the media that society is churning out in like what it becomes.
Right. But in a strange way, I feel like that's almost reached its peak, with the more recent Marvel movies like the Avengers movies and stuff. And I kind of feel like in a weird way it's hit the ceiling. Like I don't know where these.
They don't know where else to go.
Yeah.
I agree, but that's also a symptom of artistic repression in our society, because we've been using the same people over and over again to create the most mainstream media. So as a result, those people are running out of ideas. That doesn't mean everyone is.
No.
That just
I
means
agree.
that like the people who have the power to create media are the same people that have been for the last like 50 years.
Yeah.
And those people, and they're not letting anybody else new in. So as a result, those people have no new ideas. They've hit a ceiling.
Yeah.
I don't think society's hit a ceiling. I think they have.
Well, I agree.
Hollywood has hit a ceiling.
Yeah. It's but it's funny because I feel like Marvel Comics, there are Marvel Comics that I feel like should be made now.
Yeah.
but they're not making them.
Because they have no imagination.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. And the problem is we can't even look to new creators in society because so many people have been damaged and dulled by the internet.
Yeah.
So it's like even people who should be interesting creators are making less interesting content because they just are trying to do what appeals to the most possible people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The game of art has now become make something that's mainstream enough that everyone will watch it and you will make money. Nobody cares about like make something interesting anymore. It's just like make stuff that will appeal to the algorithms.
Right.
So as a result, you end up with like 10,000 videos where like some guy like, makes like AI inspired food.
Right.
Instead of like something interesting, like an interesting short film or something new.
Yeah.
And there's still interesting creators out there. They're just very buried under the mountains of like algorithm driven garbage.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's true. I'm actually trying to think if I've seen anything recently that, that was fascinating to me. I mean,
you do watch a lot of like vlogger content.
Yeah.
Just like everybody else.
Yeah.
Everybody watches vloggers.
Yeah. Well, or even just, I'm trying to think of what movies,
Well, you saw the Phoenician Scheme. You said that wasn't bad.
Yeah, the Phoenician Scheme was, it was worthwhile.
Wes Anderson's
It was
movie.
good Wes Anderson, yeah. Not up to his greatest movies, but it's a good movie.
Yeah.
And
Well, and like I said, it's not a waste if somebody interesting continues to make content. Because
Yeah.
even if they make movies that are like not the best they've ever made or movies that don't appeal to you as much as some of the other ones they've made, at least there's still somebody out there trying to make something unique.
Yeah. Well, and also I just noticed that Paul Thomas Anderson's new movie, One Battle After Another.
That was good.
Yeah, it just came out. It's on, I think it's on Netflix or Amazon. I forget which one.
That was probably one of the better new movies we've seen in a long
Yeah,
time.
I really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to seeing it again.
So there are still people making interesting new-ish stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, there is also a lot of like algorithm-driven content.
Yeah.
Which is just unfortunate.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is very, very much the same.
Yeah.
But, it depends on what your interests lie. It depends on what you're drawn to,
Sure.
I myself, I listened to a podcast called Creepcast where these two creators basically like read horror stories and they try to, they read independent stuff, they read stuff they find. But I feel like one of them in particular, which is like the creator Meat Canyon, is a good judge of like whether somebody really has like the ability to put like themselves into a horror story, or create like a horror story that like really works as a written piece. So I feel like there are still people out there trying to drive interesting new creative content.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, of course. There must be.
That being said, I still think those guys end up weeding through a lot of very boring horror too.
Yeah.
I don't, but ultimately that goes back to like, I just don't think there's a ton of good horror out there. So I'm glad they're still out there doing the good work and weeding through everything to find like, occasionally jewels of goodness.
Absolutely. Yeah. Obviously there needs to be, horror is an important, genre.
Yeah. And you've written some pretty good horror too.
I've tried, yeah.
That's not, I wouldn't say based on all of your books, that's your main niche.
Right.
I would say if I read all of your stuff, I would say you're more like sci-fi.
Yeah.
But some of your stuff is straight horror. The Terminal Island is horror.
Yeah, that's, I guess, yeah.
It's sort of got like kind of a Wicker Man feel,
Yeah,
that book.
yeah, that's kind of the direction I was going in with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you could say that Enormity, these are my dad's books, by the way, that I'm listing. That's kind of has horror elements.
Yeah.
Despite being science fiction.
No, absolutely.
And it certainly has like philosophical, magical reality elements.
Yeah.
And there's some wacky stuff going on there.
Yeah. No, it's funny because I've, just been, watching this. Your mother and I just watched this movie Laura with Dana Andrews and Gene Tierney.
Dana Andrews, that's a classic older name.
Yeah. and and it's basically this movie about this woman who has been murdered, and the police detective shows up investigating her death, and there's all these kind of crazy twists and turns. Oh, it's also got Vincent Price.
Ooh, my
it.
favorite.
Yeah. And the movie is very interesting because it's shot like a horror movie. Like there are all these little, like when the detective is going through this woman's apartment and there's a portrait of her up on the wall.
Yeah.
You know, and the way that it's shot, you keep expecting like the killer to come jumping out of a closet or something like that. And because the music is very creepy, you know. And that's just and it's interesting. The movie's directed by Otto Preminger, who is a really good director. He directed 12 Angry Men and a bunch of other movies.
I really like 12 Angry Men.
Yeah. And so he's a very good director, but this whole movie is like an exercise in creating like a mood.
Yeah.
Like you keep expecting some sort of uncanny thing to happen, and it does happen at one point. It turns out not to have been that uncanny, but like this woman who's dead, you keep thinking she's going to show up like as a ghost or something like that. And so it was an interesting movie just to see the style.
For some reason, that kind of makes me think of Stalker.
Yeah.
Once again, like, because we've talked about that before, but Stalker is a movie where the whole movie is mood.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing really happens in that movie.
Right.
It's just, I mean, like, which I think for most people makes that movie unbearably boring. But it's like, that movie is all mood.
Yeah, it's a vibe. I agree.
Yeah.
And the whole vibe is very kind of weird and slightly unsettling. Also sometimes beautiful in a weird way.
No, but it's something designed for a particular audience.
Yeah.
And that audience is us.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that audience is everyone.
It's not everyone, but I know there are people who love that movie. It's obviously a famous film. It was considered his best film.
But this is how it is with art. You know, it's up to the perceiver, the perceptive, the persubian.
Yeah. But you know, the movie that this Laura movie really reminded me of is Rebecca. Did you ever see Rebecca?
Yeah, I've seen Rebecca.
Yeah, and that movie also is kind of treated almost like a horror movie, you know, or like a ghost story.
I mean, but that movie's a thriller.
It is a thriller, and so is this one, by the way. But they both are, you know, centered around.
So I mean, in a way, you could argue then it's kind of like Alfred Hitchcock-esque.
It is, yes.
Which is to say, like a lot of his movies are thrillers, but they sort of have like a vibe, like something crazy and magical could happen at any moment.
Exactly, and there's a mystery at the heart of it.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, even like my favorite Alfred Hitchcock movie, Rope, which is straight up just like, I don't even know what that is, like a psychological torture thriller horror.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's based on a play. But like, you know what I mean? Like, even that movie almost feels like something insane could happen at any second.
It does, yeah.
And it doesn't really ever come to that. It's more just like, these guys are maniacs, and then they get caught. Yeah. And that's sort of it. Like, but the vibe of the movie is like you're just waiting for like a bomb to go off.
Yeah. Well, there's an incredible suspense in that movie, you know, which is what I love about it. You know, the idea that everybody's having their dinner on the casket essentially of this murdered guy.
Actually, that whole element really leads to what I think is one of the most powerful lines in the movie, where at the end, and by the way, this is all spoilers, but it's such an old movie. You know, go see Rope. You know, because I don't think anything we're going to say is really going to ruin it either way.
Right, it's a good movie even if you know.
Yeah, but like at the end, Jimmy Stewart, you're talking about them having dinner over his body. Yeah. He says something like you killed him in cold blood and you served dinner over his grave. It's and when he says that, it's almost like you haven't even been thinking about it the whole movie. And then when he says that, it's like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's so sick.
It's like you served dinner over his grave.
Right.
Because there's that image of like, you know, it's almost like some kind of sick picnic over like someone's tombstone. You know what I mean?
Right. No, absolutely. It's gruesome. I mean, and that's
but also it makes you feel guilty, like you're like a schoolboy who's done something wrong.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's almost
you
like
participate.
Yeah, because like you enjoyed watching the movie. So it's like in a way you kind of got off on the sickness of the whole thing.
Right.
And then Jimmy Stewart's like, what is wrong with you?
Right.
You enjoyed watching these freaks kill this guy and serve dinner over his grave?
Right.
It's like, I'm sorry, Jimmy. I love you. I didn't mean to hurt you.
Right. Yeah, no, it's true. That's I mean, Alfred Hitchcock obviously has got a sense of humor about all this too, you know. But yeah.
Well, also, I mean, the fact that he was like their I don't know, their teacher in some way in the story too. Like
So in a weird way, he's culpable. you
Yeah,
know?
I know.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is like that adds to another element, to another layer of the like feeling like a schoolboy who's done something naughty.
Right. Yeah. Well, and in this Laura movie, it's kind of similar because like almost the entire movie takes place in the apartment of the woman who's been murdered.
Yeah.
And every time they talk about her murder, it's like they describe how she was like shot in the face with a shotgun.
Yeah.
So it was very, very gruesome. You
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
get to see it, but they keep talking about it. And it happened right there in this apartment, you know? So you're kind of always aware that, people are like, let's have cocktails. And they're having cocktails. It's like, yeah, this woman had her head blown off.
Yeah.
Where you're having your cocktails.
You used it to cover up your ugly murder.
Right.
No, I know. Yeah, but I mean, that's why we do this podcast. That's why we talk about movies. Why so much of our lives have been dedicated to cinema as an art, because it's so affecting in that way.
Sure. And in a way, art, it helps you to interpret
Yeah.
life. I mean, that's the
And
purpose of
sometimes it's
art.
too alarming. I mean,
Yeah.
we've talked on this podcast about movies that are like almost so jarring that it's like upsetting in a way that's not necessarily you want to be repeated.
Sure.
Like we've said there's movies that we don't necessarily want to watch more than the first time we saw them.
Yeah, absolutely. And some movies it's not necessary. You get like the full impact of them the first time. You're never going to have that impact again.
I feel like we've just got into a whole new range of conversation. Just movies that are like that have a jarring mood, but that aren't necessarily like in and of themselves super jarring. Like we could talk about that forever. And
Yeah.
go back to Sam Neill again, and go back to that movie where the lady where a bunch of goo pours out of her in a hallway where she's screaming.
Yeah, Possession.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Isabella Johnny.
Because that's another one. That's
Yeah.
another movie where the whole vibe of that movie is like very distressing, but nothing much happens in that movie except for that one scene.
Yeah, that one scene. But it's a great scene, and in a weird way you feel bad for the actress. It's brilliant, but she almost has to kill herself in that scene. It's terrible.
Speaking of which, we talk about where's Glenn Close. Where's Sam Neill?
Yeah.
Has he been in anything recently?
Well, he was in that movie about dinosaurs.
Oh, yeah. I don't think very many people saw that one, though.
Right.
Welcome to Jurassic
That's
Jurassic living room.
right. No, I'm trying to think. Has he been in? Well, I mean, obviously he's in one of my favorite movies, The Piano. But that was some time ago.
That was, very.
Yeah.
Jane Campion, though, that's another person we could talk about for ages and ages. Because
Yeah.
I recently saw that Sweetie's been streaming on some services.
Yeah, that's a
I've
good
been tempted
movie.
to watch that again.
Yeah.
Jane Campion is a very interesting director.
She is.
She only works when she's like inspired to work. So as a result, her canon is relatively small, but everything she's made is interesting in one way or another.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway,
Yeah, we just watched one of her first movies for the first time just a couple of years ago, An Angel at My Table,
yeah,
which is really good.
that's an interesting one too. She
Yeah.
also made a number of interesting short films when she was like a student.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we've run out of time. We're over time right now.
All right.
Although I suppose it wouldn't really matter if one of these podcasts was like an hour and a half instead of an hour.
Probably not, but we don't want to torture the audience.
I just feel like, like we've talked about this before. If we were like the vampires from Twilight, like if we never had to like, oh, well, they have to eat. But okay, let's say we, not like them, but like something like that, where if we never had to eat.
Oh, wait, here comes my wife's gingerbread. Here, show the gingerbread to the camera. Ooh, yay.
I want to lick it.
Give it a little sniff.
Ooh, delightful. Very delightful.
All done.
Thank you for making that, honey. Wow, good timing.
Yeah.
All right.
But anyway, what I was saying is that if we didn't ever have to sleep or eat or go to the bathroom or do anything human, if we were just like talking statues,
Oh, yeah.
we could just talk and never stop.
Yeah, we could do this for 100 years straight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That almost sounds like some kind of philosophical mind experiment.
Right.
It's just like, or like a Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah.
Like 2 men made immortal.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
we're just laying in a burnt out bunker at the end of time, just like, what did you think of Alfred Hitchcock's movies?
Right. Or 2 vampires on a space capsule heading for Alpha Centauri.
Yeah, exactly. Just never stops.
Yeah.
You make the world's longest, most unbearable podcast.
Right.
It almost sounds like a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy thing.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, it's like a few hundred years ago, 2 men from Earth were made immortal. And you know, nobody can get within 100 yards of them because they just talk about movies and have been for the last 17 centuries.
Yes. Well.
Talk about 1 century of Earth movies for
Right.
eternity.
Oh my God. All right. Well, see, now we
I
have.
think we've come full circle.
We have. Yes. It's good though. I like that. All right.
Goodbye.
Good lad.